Well, one of the nice things about online class is that you can travel. And I hadn't really planned on being in front of Mount Rushmore today to be able to do this video discussion, but here I am, so we're going to give it a shot. And since I had already planned on talking about Major André, that's what we're going to do again. And it's kind of fitting that we have the image of George Washington behind us, because it was George Washington who sentenced Major John André to death as a spy. We're going to be examining 3 scholarly articles from the American History and Life full-text database. The first article is by Robert Cray, and it's entitled Major John André and the Three Captors, Class Dynamics and Revolutionary Memory Wars in the Early Republic, 1780 to 1831. His article focuses on the class differences between Major John André and the 3 men who captured him: John Paulding, Isaac Van Wert, and David Williams. Cray asserts that André was remembered with honor and celebrated because he was a gentleman and of the upper classes, and that his 3 captors have largely been forgotten because they were simply working men of no social standing. Over the years, aspersions have been cast upon the character of the 3 captors, claiming that they would have accepted André's bribe had he had the money with him. Luminaries of no less stature than Colonel Benjamin Talmadge, Washington's own spy master, claimed that the men were nothing more than mercenaries. Cray's article feels a little bit Marxist in its tone because it credits the favorable view of André to class bias. But in spite of its ideological tones, this article is of good value because it details the story of André's capture. And it also speaks to whether or not André was a victim, a blunderer, or a hardened operative. Andy Trees wrote the second paper, entitled Benedict Arnold, John André, and His Three Yeoman Captors. He contrasts the tales that have been told of the plain, hard-working men who were André's captors, the tales told of Arnold, the villainous traitor, and those of André, the gallant British officer of sensibility and honor. Trees points out that in spite of America's founding claim of an egalitarian society in which common men are celebrated, the people of the late 18th century and early 19th centuries still valued genteel and aristocratic values found in André. In contrasting these stories, he presents eyewitness accounts of people like Alexander Hamilton, who knew and interacted with all of these characters. A particular note is the testimony of the men who captured André, in contrast to the account given by André himself and the persona that he exuded. The last is David Vinson's The Extraordinary Afterlife of Major John André, the Common Spy. In this work, Vinson examines the writings about André after his execution as a common spy by the American Continental Army in 1780, the order, of course, given by General Washington. These writings glorify the man and make him out to be a man of complex sensibilities and a victim of circumstance. Vinson argues that much of this is the result of André's own creation and how he acted during his short captivity before his execution. Vinson also credits the need for England to have a tragic hero, given their loss in the Revolution. This article provides good background on John André and the details of his capture, imprisonment, and execution.